Hello there guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks a lot for tuning in again. Hope you're all having a good working week. Hope you're all keeping safe and well. Today's video is going to be about yesterday's games in the Premier League. Obviously after a 100-day break or 110 days, can't remember exactly how long it is, the Premier League is back. So last night we started with two games. Aston Villa against Sheffield United, which was a 0-0 draw, although I'll give my thoughts on that in a minute because it wasn't really a 0-0 draw, was it? And then the 8:15 kickoff was Man City against Arsenal, which ended 3-0 to Man City. So I'll also give my thoughts on that, as well as, you know, how I felt the performances of the players were and stuff like that. So, yeah, kicking off, obviously, the Sheffield United against Aston Villa game. There's only one real talking point, really, isn't there? And that was the fact that, what would you call it? The complete breakdown of the way that the goal line technology worked in that game. Sheffield United disallowed, well, not even disallowed, it was a goal, wasn't it? I mean, it was one of the biggest referee blunders / technology blunders I've ever seen in my life. First half, cross got put in, keeper was flapping at it, caught the ball and fell backwards into the goal. Now, usually, I don't know if you guys have seen, obviously if you're not in the Premier League or, you're not in the UK and you don't know how this goal line technology works, or you've never seen it before. If the ball is over the line by even a millimetre, then it basically means that the referee wears a watch, it triggers an alarm on the referee's watch which says goal, allow the goal, and then that's it. There is there is supposed to be no failure rate in it whatsoever until yesterday. Now, Hawkeye is saying that apparently they've had over 7,000 accurate tests of this in the last year, since the Premier League's been inaugurated in the tests and stuff like that, and they said that not one has ever failed apart from yesterday. Now, they're obviously putting this down to apparently there were so many people on the goal line and there were so many bodies that were, I can't remember the word they said, but basically it was blocking the line of sight of every camera that is used to scan the ball when it goes over the line. And basically as a result of that, the system failed, the goal wasn't given, and, the ref waved play on. Now, there is rumours that apparently, the system was, the system was buggy and it had errors and stuff like that. And apparently, this is just something that was mentioned on Sky Sports yesterday, but apparently the referee, when he went into the changing room at half-time, it then actually flashed up on his watch that it was a goal and it should have been given, so there was a delay there. So, yeah, absolute nightmare for the Premier League, and all of its VAR and its goal line technology. I think that VAR and goal line technology are two different companies. So, yeah, for once, VAR isn't to blame here, but it was absolutely unbelievable. And, when you consider the, you consider the fine, the fine margins that are involved at the top of the league at the moment. Because, let's not forget, Sheffield United are only a few points off of the top. But what is it? They're well in the mix for the European places, aren't they? So, the difference between 1 and 3 points, which is what it could come down to at the end of the season, if they miss out on a European spot because, the referee's watch was broken or whatever, it's going to be an absolutely unbelievable controversy. Chris Wilder was absolutely fuming. I did feel a bit sorry for the ref because he come out, after the half-time whistle and he looked a bit shell-shocked and he knew that, there was an almighty cock-up there. And, for it to happen in the first game back after, 3.5 months off, it was just, you couldn't write it. But, yeah, to be honest, apart from that, there wasn't much quality in the game. There was... despite the drinks breaks and, the unlimited, it wasn't unlimited substitutions, it's 5 substitutions per team, isn't it? There wasn't much really to kind of get excited about. I know that a lot of players pulled up with injuries in the second half and cramp and stuff like that. But, yeah, obviously, is it a decent point for Villa? I suppose Sheffield United at home at the beginning of the season, you would look at that and think, you need to win that in order to have a chance of staying up. But, they're not losing games like that, so I suppose that you can put it down to first game back, they need to build on that now. So yeah, it's quite an interesting one to get to get back underway, and it's the biggest talking point maybe even of the season so far in the first game back, which is mental really. So yeah, that was 0-0. Moving on to the 8:15 kick-off between Man City and Arsenal. I mean, you were a very, very brave or ambitious man if you bet against Man City winning this game, given, you know, the state of Arsenal's defence and the state of Arsenal in general this season. And, you know, the highlights, I don't know if you saw the highlights of their warm-up match against Brentford a couple of weeks ago, but they were all over the place. And I think people saw this coming from a mile off, didn't they? Arteta, as a result of that Brentford game, dropped David Luiz down to the bench, and he even said that, you know, recent performances forced him to make some changes. So yeah, he went with Mustafi and Pablo Mari at the back. Obviously, Pablo Mari on loan from a Brazilian club. They actually did all right in the first couple of minutes. You know, they managed to settle into the game quite well. And then, unfortunately, Pablo Mari pulled up quite early into the game, which meant that David Luiz had to come on. And that was the end of the game, basically. He was on for a total of 25 minutes, apparently, in the end. And he was in, you know, for the first goal, he was at fault. You know, a ball went over the top. All he had to do was get his foot on it, clear it away from the back, you know, clear his lines. But instead, it kind of bounced off his hip, thigh area. Dribbled straight through to Raheem Sterling, who put it away just before the break for City to go 1-0 up. And, yeah, you know, you could see as soon as the ball went into him, he was panic stations, and he knew that when that ball bounced off him, Raheem Sterling wasn't going to, you know, not make him pay. So, yeah, Arsenal still in it at the break, but then, you know, as soon as they come back out, you know, a few minutes into the second half, I think it was Riyad Mahrez was put clean through. Obviously, David Luiz was marking him, tracking the runner. Didn't really get anywhere near him, you know, tried to fight him off, tried to wrestle him off a little bit and just pulled him down. Clear penalty. Last man only means one thing, unfortunately. Red card for David Luiz. And, yeah, I think that's the last we're going to see of him at Arsenal, to be honest, because he is an absolute car crash of a defender, unfortunately. You know, you could argue that, like, a few years ago at Chelsea under Rafa Benitez, playing defensive midfield and stuff like that were his best years, maybe. But for me, he's always been a bit of a disaster. You know, he's a walking liability. You know, you can see what happened when he come up against decent players in for Brazil in the World Cup. You know, that game where Germany absolutely took him to the cleaners, and he was still trying to dribble out from the back when they were 5-0 down at half time. And it's just, he's a disaster. He's never going to learn. And yeah, I think that was the last straw. If not, you know, he was on borrowed time anyway, and that's just a final nail in the coffin for him at Arsenal. So yeah, City very impressive. De Bruyne and David Silva in midfield are an absolute joke. I mean, them two together are probably two of the best midfielders to ever play in the Premier League. You know, if not the best, and certainly in the top 3, top 4, they're just unbelievable. And the strength in numbers that City have got, you know, they had Sterling, Sané, Rodri, Fernandinho on the bench. They're just unbelievable, and they're definitely going to be challenging Liverpool next year. So, yeah, I felt that the quality of this game was much better than the much better than the Villa against Sheffield United game. Although saying that, the only quality that you really saw was from City. I mean, Arsenal struggled to create anything really. You know, they had quite a strange team selection. Obviously, Arteta went for Nketiah. Saka, you know, and a couple of the other younger lads away at City is not the best idea when you've got Lacazette and Pepe on the bench and stuff like that. You know, maybe he's resting them for the more winnable game, which is Brighton at home at the weekend. But yeah, he's just got such a massive job on there, Arteta. I mean, they're going to struggle to even finish top 6 unless he has an absolute turnaround of personnel. And, you know, the whole culture of the club needs to change there, because they have been, you know, on this downward trajectory, quite a steep one for quite a while. You know, even before Wenger left, he's been, well, they've been struggling for a while. And, you know, you only have to look at Arsenal Fan TV and Claude and Ty and Robbie and all them lot to know what the fans think about it all. So, yeah, first 2 games back, obviously it's excellent to have it back. Saw quite a few people moaning about the lack of atmosphere on the telly, but what do you expect? There's no fans there, you know. And to be honest, the Premier League hasn't got the best atmosphere with, you know, amongst fans when you compare it to Germany and Italy and all that anyway, really, have they? So, yeah, I mean, it's something that we're going to have to get used to. But for now, I'm just pleased to have the football back. I think it's excellent, you know, to have that quality of football back on our screens. And, you know, as David Jones, who is he's the main Sky Sports presenter / anchor, he said that there's 100 games in 6 weeks coming up. So, you know, we're going to get used to it pretty quickly, which is awesome. So, yeah, let me know what your thoughts are about the games. You know, did you enjoy the quality of the games? What did you think about the, what did you think about the Sheffield United disallowed goal? What did you think about David Luiz? Obviously, let me know. I'm always interested to hear your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the videos. You know, I'm trying to get as much content out as I can whilst this football's going absolutely crazy at the moment. You know, obviously on my social media, try and add me on my socials. My Instagram is East Terrace Football, and my Twitter is @EastTerrace0. So yeah, until next time, guys. Obviously, I'll upload some more videos about the Premier League and Bundesliga and Serie A over the weekend, of course. But until then, hope you're all keeping well. Hope you're all keeping safe. Have a great weekend if I don't speak to you. All right, take care. Cheers. Bye then.